We have Steve Pickett, a senior reporter in Dallas at CBS 11, joining us for an update. So, Steve, what's the latest over there?
Well, in Denton, good news for the majority of those youngsters that were tested. Those tests come back negative, no indication of active TB or positive skin tests. But I can tell you this started, as was mentioned, in Ennis, Texas. Well over 1,000 students tested. They are still investigating up to possibly 10 active cases of tuberculosis, including children as young as 14 months of age.
And this was all thought to start with one teacher who I guess had been teaching class, coughing, having symptoms of what tuberculosis is, but had no idea that's indeed what the infection was.
Absolutely. They knew there was something wrong with this teacher, bronchitis, sinusitis, but tuberculosis, not until it was confirmed. And by that time, we were into August. That teacher removed from the school, but then there was a contact group. Those students, there was real concern. There was a meeting throughout the town, at the school, standing room only. Obviously, people with their children clearly concerned. Also in Denton, there was a broad meeting for the public to get information. I can tell you that those worries have subsided for the most part in Denton, which is about 60 miles from Ennis.
And if there's one positive that comes out of this, it's that TB, it's still here. There are over 11,000 cases every year reported in the U.S. Something that I'm very familiar with in the emergency department, and I myself, I'm required to take a TB test every 6 months. They're quick, easy to take, can help you determine if you've been exposed to tuberculosis. And we have an example here. Here's what a positive TB, that's the actual PPD skin test. Then 48 to 72 hours later, it'll be looked at by a healthcare professional. That's what a positive result looks like. Reason why, for instance, this teacher who had these bizarre symptoms really should get tested, because TB is highly contagious and it's spread through tiny droplets in the air, through coughs and sneezes, which is why if you're in a confined environment like a classroom, certainly we think about it all the time in the emergency department, if you're in an enclosed room, it can easily spread. What can you see? Well, typically tuberculosis does affect the lungs. You'll see an abnormal chest x-ray, much like you're seeing here. And the person may have an uncontrollable cough with weight loss and lethargy and fever, night sweats. They tend to feel terrible, but people don't think about TB anymore. So this is one of those things where TB is caused by a bacterium. It's called a mycobacterium, and it does usually attack the lungs. But if you're having these other sorts of symptoms, because TB can attack any part of the body, if you're having these prolonged fevers and weakness and feel terrible, you need to go get it checked out, because treatment is antibiotics for 6 to 9 months, and you have to finish the entire course. And Steve, as you've learned through all this, TB, if not treated, can be fatal.
Indeed, we looked at the numbers here in the state of Texas. There were a number of deaths this past year. This primary case in Ennis, the school teacher, he is being treated. We hear he is well. But one of those young people impacted by this, not confirmed with tuberculosis, but being treated with active TB, is 14 months of age. She was in the hospital, a real concern about her well-being. We think she's going to be all right.
Well, the message here is don't live in fear, but be aware. Thanks, Steve, so much for that update.